Hello, my quilty friends. It's Stacy of Stacy Creates Stuff, and today we are on block number 5, the double X. So today's block is the double X, and we are back to half square triangles again, but this time we are going to be adding in some square patches as well when we lay out this block. It is a 16 patch. And let me show you how quickly and easily it goes together. Here we have the components for block 5. Now we are making a total of 8 of these blocks, so that's why there's quite a stack. There are 2 different size squares of all the colors except the white. So I'm going to set the larger size up here and the smaller size down here. The smaller ones are going to be used as is. They get placed as squares into this 16 patch block. So we'll come back to those in a moment. These, oops, still a few more of those. These larger squares are going to become half square triangle units. So we have to pair them up. We're going to be taking half of the teal 3 and putting them with the blue, the medium blue, and the medium dark green. Now we've done half square triangles back in block number 2, and it's going to be the same way. So I'm going to get my handy dandy tools, and I'm going to start marking my half square triangles. So quick refresher, if you use a 1/4 inch tool, it just goes from point to point down the center. And then you draw on each side of the tool. And that is where you're going to sew. And once again, I sew just to the inside of that because we'll be cutting down this center part here. And I want to have enough room for my fabric to fold back when it's paired with the other fabric. So let's sew some of these pairs together. Again, the teal is going to go with the medium blue, and also there'll be teal with the medium dark green. All right, now that I have all my units sewn together to my half square triangles, it is time to trim them. These are getting trimmed to 2 3/4 inch square. And I know that seems like an odd amount, and that is because this 16 patch is going to finish at 9.5 inches. Well, it's going to finish at 9 inches. It's 9.5 inches unfinished. I'm going to go ahead and trim down each of these units 2 3/4 inches. And again, if you need a refresher on how to trim half square triangle units, you can reference the video from this series, block 2, and an even more in-depth video, which includes how to trim with a ruler other than a bias square type ruler. Just using a regular ruler. I have a whole video that is just on flying geese and half square triangles. There'll be a link in the description below. Now that I have the half square triangles trimmed, it is ready to start laying out the block. We're going to need 2 of our white squares from the 2 3/4 inch pile of squares, 2 of teal 2, 2 blue, and 2 green. So as I mentioned before, this is a 16 patch. So there'll be 4 units going across and 4 units coming down. You just want to make sure you have everything oriented in the correct direction. And then we're simply going to sew our 4 units together to make a row. And we'll do that for each of the rows. And then, of course, we sew the rows together to make the block. Here we have our 4 rows, each with 4 units in them. Let's put these together so we can see the whole block. And here we have the completed block. So again, you need to make a total of 8 of these. They should measure 9.5 inches, square unfinished. And of course, just like in block 3, this is going to have a mini 9 patch and some sashing to help bring it up to the 12-inch finished size that it needs to be to fit in with the rest of the quilt. So let's go take a look at what that looks like on the design wall. And here we have the painted desert version. So the larger squares, of course, become half square triangles. And then we lay out all 16 patches to make the double X block. And here is the design wall so far. So as you can see, there are just a few missing spots for the main part of the quilt. And that means that next week we'll be back with our last block of the quilt top. But that won't be the last episode of the Quilt Along. Following that, I'll be back with at least 1 week, maybe 2, of how to put the quilt top together, because there's more than one way to arrange this quilt. If you would like to join the Haven Quilt Along, you can. It is not too late. The cutting and organizing guide for the Quilt Along is available for free from my website. I will put a link in the description below. And if you'd like to join the Haven mailing list, it's not too late. We are still mailing out those blocks each week, but we are coming to an end. I'll talk more about that next week. And you can join the mailing list by clicking the QR code or by checking the description for the link. And my favorite quilt shop, Vintage Pink and Green, still has a few kits available in both colorways, and those are available from the link below, or the QR code. I'm excited for next week because we will be doing the last block and we'll have a whole new technique for that block. Until next time, my friends, why not check out this?